In the annals of history, countless tales whisper of dreamers and their relentless pursuit of the impossible. Men and women driven by an insatiable curiosity to unravel the secrets of time itself. But what if those secrets were more terrifying than we ever dared to imagine? This is the story of a man named John, a solitary inventor who vanished into thin air, leaving behind nothing but a workshop full of strange contraptions and a mystery that would captivate the world. John was an enigma, a recluse who dedicated his life to unlocking the mysteries of temporal mechanics. Neighbors spoke of strange lights and sounds emanating from his workshop late at night, fueling rumors of his bizarre experiments. Some dismissed him as a harmless eccentric, but others whispered of a machine, a device capable of bending the very fabric of time. Then, one day, John disappeared without a trace. His workshop stood silent, a testament to his ambition and a chilling reminder of the unknown. The authorities investigated but found no signs of foul play, no forced entry, no struggle. John was simply gone, vanished without a trace. The case went cold, relegated to the dusty archives of unsolved mysteries. But the legend of John, the time traveler, lived on. Whatever the truth, John's disappearance left an undeniable chill in the air, a stark reminder that some mysteries are not meant to be solved. Stories of John's disappearance spread like wildfire, carried on the winds of speculation and intrigue. At first it was just local gossip, fueled by the imaginations of those who had always considered John to be something of an eccentric. But soon, the tale found its way into newspapers and radio broadcasts, capturing the attention of a public hungry for the unusual and unexplained. Theories abounded, ranging from the plausible to the utterly bizarre. Some speculated that John had been the victim of foul play, his inventions attracting the wrong kind of attention. Others believed he had staged his own disappearance, seeking to escape the pressures of his work or perhaps even the world itself. But the most persistent rumor, the one that sent shivers down spines and sparked countless late-night debates, was that John had actually succeeded in his quest for time travel. While the world speculated about his fate, John's abandoned workshop became an object of intense fascination. Authorities, researchers, and curious onlookers alike flocked to the site, hoping to find some clue, some fragment of information that could shed light on the mystery surrounding his disappearance. Inside, they found a chaotic jumble of tools, wires, and half-assembled contraptions, a testament to John's relentless pursuit of his ambition. Among the scattered notes and diagrams, investigators discovered something remarkable: detailed schematics and equations that appeared to describe the workings of a functional time machine. These blueprints, scrawled in John's hand, were a complex tapestry of physics, mathematics, and engineering, pushing the boundaries of known scientific principles. Experts were baffled, unable to decipher the full extent of John's work, but recognizing within those pages a mind that had ventured far beyond the accepted limits of human understanding. The discovery of John's blueprints sent shockwaves through the scientific community. John gripped the worn leather of the time machine's controls, his heart pounding in his chest. Years of research, countless failed experiments, and sleepless nights had led to this moment, this leap into the unknown. The air crackled with energy as he threw the final switch, the culmination of a lifetime's obsession. A low hum vibrated through the workshop, growing steadily in intensity until it filled the air with a deafening roar. Lights flickered and died as the machine drew immense power, bending the very fabric of reality around it. John braced himself, his eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of energy that had materialized before him, a gateway to the uncharted territories of time. Taking a deep breath, John steeled his nerves and pushed the control lever forward. The world dissolved around him in a blinding flash of light. When John finally opened his eyes, the workshop was gone, replaced by a swirling kaleidoscope of colors and shapes. His initial disorientation gave way to a childlike wonder as John adjusted the controls, steering his temporal vessel through the currents of time. He witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, the clash of armies, and the quiet moments of human connection that echoed through the ages. The past unfolded before him, no longer confined to the pages of history books, but alive and vibrant in all its complexity. He marveled at the construction of the Great Pyramids, feeling the scorching desert sun on his skin as ancient Egyptians toiled under the watchful gaze of their pharaoh. He walked the bustling streets of ancient Rome, witnessing the grandeur and the squalor of a civilization teetering on the brink of greatness and decline, and he stood on the deck of a ship buffeted by wind and spray as Christopher Columbus first set eyes on the shores of the New World. John adjusted the dials of his time machine, his fingers tracing the worn grooves with a practiced ease. He had lost track of how many journeys he had taken, how many wonders he had witnessed, how many lifetimes he had glimpsed through the swirling vortex of time. But something felt different now, a subtle shift in the air, a growing unease that gnawed at the edges of his thoughts. He had set his sights on a distant future, a time far beyond the reach of recorded history. He yearned to see humanity at its zenith, to witness the culmination of centuries of progress and innovation. As the time machine surged forward, hurtling him through the annals of time, he felt a strange sense of anticipation, a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The transition was abrupt, jarring him from his thoughts. The familiar hum of the time machine ceased, replaced by an eerie silence. Gone was the vibrant tapestry of colors and light that usually accompanied his temporal jumps. He was enveloped in an oppressive darkness, a void that seemed to press in on him from all sides. A cold dread gripped his heart as he fumbled for the controls, his breath catching in his throat. John cautiously stepped out of the time machine, his hand instinctively reaching for the energy pistol holstered at his side. The air was thick and heavy, difficult to breathe. A sickly yellow light filtered through the perpetual haze that hung low in the sky, casting long, distorted shadows across the landscape. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the mournful sigh of the wind whistling through the skeletal remains of buildings. He found himself amidst a concrete jungle, a sprawling metropolis reclaimed by nature. Towering skyscrapers, once symbols of human ambition and progress, now stood as crumbling monuments to a forgotten era. Their glass eyes were shattered, their steel and concrete bones exposed to the elements, slowly being consumed by rust and decay. Vegetation, tenacious and unforgiving, had forced its way through cracks in the pavement, weaving a tapestry of green and brown over the ruins of a lost civilization. As he ventured deeper into the ruins, his footsteps echoing in the silence, John couldn't shake the feeling that he was walking through a graveyard. The silence was broken only by the mournful sigh of the wind whistling through the skeletal remains of buildings. As John stood there amidst the ruins of a forgotten future, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. His hand instinctively tightened around the energy pistol at his side, his senses on high alert. Every creak of metal, every rustle of leaves sent a jolt of adrenaline coursing through his veins. He continued his exploration, his footsteps echoing in the silence. The air grew colder as he ventured deeper into the heart of the city, the oppressive heat of the day replaced by a chilling dampness that seemed to seep into his bones. The wind picked up, swirling around him, carrying with it the faintest of whispers. At first he dismissed them as figments of his imagination, tricks of the wind playing on his frayed nerves. But as he pressed on, the whispers grew louder, more distinct. He stopped, straining to make sense of the sounds. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long, eerie shadows across the ruins, John stumbled upon a sight that stopped him in his tracks. In the midst of the desolation, amidst the crumbling concrete and twisted metal, a single structure stood defiant, its walls seemingly untouched by the passage of time. It was a library, its grand facade adorned with weathered but still proud statues of philosophers and poets, their stone gazes fixed on the desolate cityscape. Drawn by an invisible force, John stood before the library doors, crafted from a dark, heavy wood that seemed to hum with an energy older than time itself. Taking a deep breath, he pushed the doors open, their hinges groaning in protest. The air inside was cool and dry, a stark contrast to the stifling heat of the ruined city. Dust motes danced in the faint rays of sunlight, illuminating rows of towering bookshelves. It was a haven, a sanctuary of knowledge amidst the ruins of a forgotten world. A faint humming sound drew John's attention towards the back of the library, where a grand staircase led to a mezzanine level. He ascended the steps, his hand trailing along the smooth, polished banister, his heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. He could feel the air grow colder, the silence deeper, as if he were stepping into the heart of a mystery. The mezzanine was a stark contrast to the dusty grandeur of the main level. The air here crackled with a faint energy, and a low hum vibrated through the floor, seemingly emanating from a single room at the far end of the balcony. The door to this room stood ajar, beckoning him forward with an unseen force. Taking a deep breath, John gripped the iron handle, cold and smooth beneath his touch, and pushed the door open. The room was bathed in an ethereal blue light emanating from a large circular device in the center of the floor. Intricate patterns swirled across its surface, pulsing with an energy that seemed to hum in harmony with the beat of John's own heart. He recognized it instantly, his breath catching in his throat. A time machine, but not like his own. This one was sleeker, more advanced, its technology far beyond anything he could have imagined. As he cautiously approached the device, his gaze was drawn to a series of screens lining one of the walls. Images flickered across their surfaces, scenes of chaos and destruction, of a world ravaged by natural disasters and consumed by war. He watched in horror as cities burned, oceans rose, and humanity tore itself apart. These weren't historical records, they were warnings, glimpses into a future that had been, a future that could still be. John stumbled back from the screens, his mind reeling from the horrors he had witnessed. The weight of the knowledge he had stumbled upon threatened to crush him. His gaze fell upon a single, worn, leather-bound book lying open on a nearby table. Drawn by an unseen force, he picked up the book, tracing the faded lettering on its cover. It was a diary filled with frantic scribblings of a scientist dedicated to understanding time. Dr. Eleanor Vance had researched temporal mechanics to prevent future disasters. Their research uncovered humanity's actions as the catalysts for catastrophic events. John closed the diary, his heart heavy with the weight of Eleanor's words. He looked around the room, at the advanced time machine, the screens flickering with images of a doomed future, and a profound sense of purpose settled upon him. He had stumbled upon a secret, a truth hidden away in the ruins of time, and he knew, with a certainty that shook him to his core, that he couldn't ignore it. He had to warn the world, to break through the walls of disbelief and ignorance to honor Eleanor's sacrifice. He spent the next few hours studying Eleanor's notes, trying to make sense of the complex equations and scientific principles that formed the foundation of her work. He knew that he couldn't simply return to his own time and announce that the world was doomed. He needed proof, tangible evidence that would convince even the most skeptical minds, and he knew just where to find it. With a newfound determination, John activated the time machine. The air crackled with energy, and the familiar blue light enveloped him. He had a destination in mind, a specific point in time where he could gather the evidence he needed, a moment in history that held the key to preventing the catastrophic future he had witnessed. As the time machine roared to life, hurtling him through the vortex of time, John clung to the hope that he wasn't too late, that humanity's fate was not yet sealed. The time machine materialized in a whirlwind of light and sound, depositing John on the outskirts of a bustling city, its skyline ablaze with the electric glow of 1,000 lights. He had arrived at his destination, a time period just a few decades before his own, a time when the seeds of humanity's destruction were being sown. He knew that he had to tread carefully to avoid altering the past in any significant way, but he also knew that he had to act quickly. The fate of the world rested on his shoulders. He set out into the city, his senses overwhelmed by the sights, sounds, and smells of a world on the brink of irreversible change. He had a plan, a course of action based on Eleanor's meticulous research, a plan to expose the truth and awaken humanity to the consequences of its actions. It wouldn't be easy. He would face opposition, disbelief, and perhaps even danger. But he clung to the hope that he had glimpsed in the darkness, the hope that Eleanor had held on to until her dying breath, the hope that humanity, faced with its own mortality, would choose a different path. John's journey through time, a voyage born of scientific curiosity, had transformed into a desperate race against the echoes of choices yet to be made. The desolate future he witnessed served as a chilling testament to the potential consequences of unchecked ambition and the seductive allure of progress at any cost. The very foundations of his understanding of time had been shaken. replaced by a sobering awareness of the interconnectedness of past, present, and future. He carried with him the weight of Eleanor Vance's legacy, the diary a tangible reminder of her unwavering belief in humanity's capacity for change. Her words echoed in his mind, a constant refrain urging him to fight for a future where the mistakes of the past wouldn't be repeated. The task ahead seemed insurmountable, a solitary man armed with nothing but knowledge and a desperate hope against the inertia of an entire civilization hurtling towards the precipice. As he navigated the labyrinthine corridors of power and influence, John encountered resistance at every turn. The world he returned to, blinded by its own pursuit of progress, seemed unwilling to heed the warnings whispered from a future teetering on the brink of annihilation. Denial, it seemed, was a formidable adversary, a shield protecting the status quo from the inconvenient truths that threatened to disrupt its delicate balance. Yet amidst the darkness, John found glimmers of hope, flickering embers of change waiting to be fanned into flame. Open minds, hungry for truth and unafraid of the implications, gravitated towards his message. He saw the potential for a different future reflected in the eyes of those who dared to believe, a future where humanity, awakened to the consequences of its actions, chose a path of sustainability and collective responsibility. The impact of John's return reverberated through the world in subtle but profound ways. Like a stone cast into a still pond, his story created ripples of change. The seeds of doubt he had sown took root, sprouting in unexpected places. Conversations once confined to the fringes of scientific discourse began to permeate the mainstream media. The scientific community, initially skeptical, found itself grappling with the implications of John's claims. The evidence he presented challenged their understanding of the natural world. His story became a catalyst for a new wave of research. Within the halls of power, John's warnings ignited a firestorm of debate. Politicians found themselves confronted with the long-term consequences of their actions. The stakes had never been higher. The most profound impact of John's journey was felt on a personal level. His story served as a wake-up call. It ignited a spark of agency, a belief in collective action. The future, once a distant and abstract concept, was now a tangible reality, a destination that could be shaped by the choices made in the present moment. John's journey had ripped the veil of inevitability from the eyes of humanity, revealing a future that was not preordained, but rather a canvas upon which their actions would paint the final masterpiece. The path forward wouldn't be easy. The challenges that lay ahead, from climate change to resource depletion to the ever-present threat of conflict, were daunting in their complexity. But John's story had ignited a spark of hope, a belief that by embracing collaboration over competition, sustainability over exploitation, and long-term vision over short-term gain, humanity could chart a new course, one that led towards a brighter and more equitable future. The responsibility fell upon the shoulders of every individual, every community, every nation to rise to the challenge. The time for complacency was over. The future demanded action, innovation, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. It demanded a fundamental shift in perspective, a recognition that the well-being of future generations was inextricably linked to the choices made in the present. The legacy of John, the reluctant time traveler, extended far beyond the extraordinary circumstances of his journey. He had become a symbol of hope, a catalyst for change, a reminder that the power to shape the future lay not in the hands of fate, but in the collective will of humanity. And so, the story of John, the time traveler, becomes our story, a call to action echoing through the corridors of time. It reminds us that we are not merely passengers on a predetermined journey, but rather the architects of our own destiny. We have the power to choose a different path, to create a future where humanity thrives in harmony with nature, where innovation serves the greater good, and where the mistakes of the past are not repeated. The journey begins with a single step, a conscious choice to embrace sustainability in our daily lives, to advocate for policies that prioritize the long-term well-being of our planet, and to inspire others to join the movement for change. It starts with a belief in our collective capacity to overcome the challenges that lie ahead, and a commitment to creating a legacy of hope for generations to come. Remember, the future is not set in stone. It is a tapestry woven from the threads of our choices, our actions, our dreams. Let us choose wisely, let us act boldly, and let us create a future worthy of our children and grandchildren. A future where humanity's story continues to unfold with hope, resilience, and an unwavering belief in the power of our collective spirit.